Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing an oil change of my wife's 2019 RAV4. And the first thing we're going to do is bring it into the shop and get it up on the lift. Something that's always good to get in the habit of is rolling down the driver's side window and removing the keys from a push-to-start vehicle so that you don't risk it accidentally being started while you're performing your maintenance. And here I'm going to unscrew the oil fill cap and pop out the dipstick. This will help the oil drain faster once we're underneath the vehicle. Now we're going to get our lift into position. This is a mobile 7,000 pound single post lift, so kind of a unique design. But works really well for the residential space that we're in for the shop. Here we're going to make sure our lift arms are nearly touching the vehicle as much as we can, and go around and place each of the four and lift the vehicle slightly to then check and make sure that we are on the pinch welds and that the vehicle is also stable before we continue to raise it. And then we'll go ahead and put it down in the locks and get to work. Here's a new tool I'm pretty excited about. This is the M18, the new boom light from Milwaukee. So what's nice about this, especially in an automotive setting, is that it is magnetic and I can just pop it onto a lift arm, and then it's telescoping so that I can position it where I need it, and it's pretty much hands-free light, so you don't have a stick light or a tripod kind of in your workspace. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the belly pan to expose the oil pan itself and the oil filter. So this is just going to be 4 10mm bolts, coarse thread into plastic, so easy to remove. Just don't want to give them too much torquing or impact when you go to put them back on. Now that we've got our oil drain in place, we're going to grab a 3/8 ratchet with a deep 14 mil socket, and we're going to crack the drain plug loose. You'll see as I'm trying to maneuver around everything here that I'm going to smoke my knuckles as I pop this loose. And while we let that drain, we're going to move on to our oil filter, let them drain simultaneously. You're going to see here I'm trying to remove it by hand, but it's just a little stuck. So we're going to go ahead and use an oil filter wrench just to get it started, and then unscrew it by hand and let it drain. Now that we've got the filter off, we're just going to go ahead and clean any excess oil that's still dripping, and then prep our new filter. I'm going to use some of the oil that's still draining out of the engine just to lube the O-ring, and then we'll go ahead and spin that on hand tight. And then we're going to go ahead and reinsert our oil drain plug, and we'll see in the next clip here torquing it down with the digital torque wrench here. Very unnecessary for your common oil changes. but I like to do it just to be safe and make sure. I own a lot of Honda Acura products that are notorious for pulling or stripping threads out of their aluminum pans, so anytime I can kind of be in the habit of preventing anything silly like that, I am all for it. Here we're going to go ahead and lower the vehicle to actually fill the oil back up. And we are not quite done with the lift yet. We'll see here as I fill it. We will start the engine and then raise it back up to verify we have no leaks from our oil filter or our crush washer. And you'll see that I mark a specific spot on the 5-quart jug there. This RAV calls for 4.8 quarts with filter change, so oddly specific number, but we're going to go ahead and sneak up on that because you can always add a little more, but it's harder to remove any excess. And we're also going to pour this relatively slowly just to make sure that we don't have any oil overflowing out of the crankcase and running down the back of the block. We don't want to create a mess here. We're going to go ahead and check our level. This is going to be kind of a faux measurement just because we have not circulated the oil through the filter. But we're going to go ahead and start the car now and let it run. At this point, we're just getting back underneath the vehicle to verify we have no active leaks or seepage around the drain bolt and the oil filter itself, and now we can move on to putting our belly pan back on with confidence. Again, just 10 mil coarse thread bolts, so we're just giving it a quick blip of the gun. Nothing too crazy, we don't want to strip these out. And now we're back on the ground for the last time. We're going to hop inside the cabin, go through the scheduled maintenance menu and reset our oil life indicator, and then also reset our trip just to keep an eye on the mileage. Now you'll see how nice it is to have this portable lift where I can essentially remove it from the underside of the vehicle. You can drive over top of this. However, I choose not to when I don't have to. So I'll move that out of the way and check the oil level now that it's circulated for a little bit. And it looks good, right on the mark there. We're also going to drive it, bring it back, and verify the level after a drive as well. And then just your typical extras, topping off washer fluid, stuff like that. All right, everyone, that concludes the oil change on the 2019 Toyota RAV4. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. This year RAV is kind of nice because the previous generation had the filter element cartridge style versus now they're back to the more traditional oil filter. Nothing too crazy, you know, the belly pan, the 4 bolts that you saw at the end of the video there. I'm sure I'll mention it in the video itself, but always good to leave that off after filling, let the engine run, check underneath for any seepage or leaks at the crush washer of the drain plug or the oil filter itself. Just feels like you're kind of asking for Murphy's Law if you put that belly pan back on before running it and checking for some of those things. So other things that kind of go into a typical oil change not shown in the video here would be things like a tire rotation, checking tire pressure. You can see how cold it is here in Minnesota. You saw the wiper fluid top off, checking overall fluids, just doing a general inspection, making sure that the vehicle is still, you know, in good operating condition for the winter time. You know, if you're going to pull it in the shop and do an oil change, you might as well just check everything kind of while you're in there. Make sure there's no red flags. Maybe clean up the engine bay. You see this one's kind of due to get some of the dust and dirt out of there. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And just remember, when it comes to things like oil changes or anything automotive, home repair, general DIY, it's never too late to learn something new. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.